Good morning. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NBA. That's not true. NFL, also not true. MLB, second one was intentional. MLB strategy show. I don't know why I said NBA. I haven't done a single NBA show all year. We got MLB. We got 12 games. It's a Tuesday. Glad to have you guys here with me. I'm excited for this one. Not because it's good, but because it's weird. You've got one chalky pitcher. Everything else is wide open. You want to look at ownership on stacks. We're talking like everything between 4 and 8%. Nothing jumps off the page. Couple pitchers in that 20% ownership range, and then nothing else there. 12 games, one piece of chalk. Now, of course, you'll have some individual bats that are more popular than others. That's always going to be the case, but no real chalky builds, at least not to the extent that we've seen in recent games, recent days. But anyway, glad to have you guys here. If you don't mind, take a single second this fine morning. Atone for your sins. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Goes a long way. I appreciate you guys for it. And believe it or not, it's free. Helps out this channel a lot. Helps me out. So I'm thankful. And of course, if you're watching or listening after the fact, leave a comment down below. Try and read and respond to all of those. Steven, Andy, Jack, welcome, man. You're in the right spot, brother. Thomas, Zach, Keep Faith, what's good, brother? All right. Yeah, I don't know if Giolito's back, but that was a 6-star. Him and Pepio yesterday. Seriously, Gilbert was good to us, too. Like, Logan Gilbert was still solid. He had 10 Ks, coughed up a couple of runs, only threw like 82 pitches, 5 innings, but 10 strikeouts. You'll take that all day long. Unfortunately, they couldn't produce anything offensively because Giolito went nuclear. What's up, Aaron? Glad to see you, man. Pepio had a nasty game. But here's the great thing. Whether you won or lost yesterday, Major League Baseball, well, daily fantasy in general, allows us to have amnesia. Put it all in the rear view. Flush it down the toilet. However you'd like to describe it. We're on to the next day. You know, there's nothing I love more than daily fantasy football. Seriously. Not even my own family. And they know it. I tell them every day, whenever they bother me. Say, you can never be football. I'm kidding. We'll put them above football for now, depending on how the rest of the night goes. But the greatest thing about daily fantasy football is it's a novelty, right? Like football in general, it's a novelty. I don't know about you guys, but as an adult, like Christmas isn't the same. Christmas is great because I get to see my kids wake up and, you know, enjoy all of the things that I used to enjoy. That's awesome. But it's not the same for an adult. Is there anything better? Maybe some of you guys are just baseball purists and you're not football fans, but I know a lot of you are because I always see you in my football videos. Waking up on that first Sunday, right? And sometimes it actually has, in the Northeast, you actually get that like crisp feel. It's football weather. When you step outside at 6 a.m. or whatever it may be, and you know that week one is upon us in earnest. I'm not talking about Thursday night to kick the season off. I'm not talking about preseason, although I do thoroughly enjoy betting it. I'm talking about week one of the regular season. Nothing beats it. Nothing. But you know what the worst part about it is that if you have a bad Sunday and Monday, now you got to wait all the way until a Thursday showdown or a Sunday main slate again to try and claw back those losses and have yourself a day. With baseball, oftentimes you could lose on a Tuesday, come back on Wednesday, and you've got a 12 o'clock Eastern noon start, right? So there's pros and cons to all of it. Yeah. Devin said, wake up at 6 a.m., instantly start looking at stuff for 4 straight hours while it's chilly outside. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's hard to wake up any normal day of the week, but if you know you have a vacation coming up, right, and you're going somewhere awesome, you're getting away for the full week, you wake up without an alarm clock an hour before you typically do. Sun's not even up yet. You're ready to go. That's how week one Sunday of the NFL season is. It's the best. It is the best. Lee Price, that's a great point. The single entry football contests are so great compared to any other sport. Like the Spy, right? The Spy which is the $100, 100K up top. The red zone, $50 entry, single entry, 50K up top. Not the wildcat. The power sweep, the 3 entry max. All right, let's get off of this because I'm going to spend too much time talking about football when we've got a big ass baseball slate. But I hope and I expect you guys to join me when the season does commence. I hope so. Hopefully you don't go anywhere else because we have fun with baseball, but man, nothing beats football. All right, let's dig into it. We got a lot to talk about today. Pitchers it's weird. I'm telling you right now, if you haven't looked yet, for those of you that have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Pitching's odd today. You know, you have one guy at 7,500 that's going to be popular without question, 50+% ownership, highest K rate of any pitcher on the slate, but struggles to work deep into games. That's Will Warren with a home matchup against the Angels. And then you've got 2 other good high-priced pitchers, Robbie Ray and Brian Wu, both of them pulling ownership in that 20-25% range. So check this out, right? Let's dive straight into it. I'll spare you any further pleasantries. Look at this exposure or ownership, okay? Look at our ownership here. You have 50% on DraftKings going to Will Warren, 24% going to Robbie Ray, 24% going to Brian Wu. On FanDuel, you have 30% going to Warren because he's also pretty cheap at 8,200. Brian Wu at 12% at 9,300. And Robbie Ray, see, the same trio of ownership, but not nearly as skewed. Only not 8.5% to Robbie Ray because he's 10.7, and so many of these other guys are significantly cheaper on a single pitcher site like FanDuel. But on DraftKings, look at this. Once you get past Warren, Ray, and Wu, and if you want to include Ben Brown there, but he's on an island, right? Ben Brown is isolated in that 10 to 20% range. There's nobody else in there. Then you get down to guys like David Festa, Spencer Schwellenbach, Jack Leiter, who's been up and down. I still think he's going to be good. Matthew Liberatore. Doesn't walk anybody, but doesn't have great strikeout stuff. Can pitch deep into games. I think he's somewhat viable. And then Andrew Abbott at 5%. I mean, to me, I don't know about you guys. And of course, I welcome you in the chat. This chat makes the show worth doing because we can go back and forth here. I've done plenty of shows. I was on Sirius XM Fantasy for years where I'm just talking to myself. And then you take calls from guys and they're asking you about season-long fantasy baseball. You just hang the phone up. But because DFS, like, so much more fun to talk about. But Abbott, where are you guys at on Abbott? I understand, you know, he's essentially the same price as Robbie Ray, but and he's more expensive than Brian Wu, who's got a good matchup against the recently Devers-less Boston Red Sox in the best pitcher's park there is. Andrew Abbott's park isn't great. There could be some rain there, so we'll have to pay attention to weather, right? But it's against the Minnesota team. Dude, this Minnesota team has the 7th highest K rate against lefties. 7th highest K rate against lefties. They're bottom 7 in WRC plus against lefties. Abbott's got let's see where he's at. It's a top 2 pitcher probability on DraftKings. He's 4th, yet he's pulling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10, like the 10th most ownership? But it doesn't even make sense for me to say it like that. Like, 10th most ownership. What makes more sense is to say Robbie Ray and Will Warren and Brian Wu are up here, 23, 18, 15% top 2 pitcher probability. Abbott's at 2%. He's in the same ballpark as everyone not named Robbie Ray, and I don't think he's all that far off. Except from an ownership perspective, he's getting a 5th of these guys. Like, he's getting essentially a 5th of Brian Wu's ownership, a 5th of Robbie Ray. I don't know. You know, he's the most positively leveraged pitcher on the slate. You rarely ever see that for guys who are at a 10K price point. You know, maybe there's something here. I did look at our exposure earlier, and we actually weren't getting, let me see how much Abbott we're getting. We weren't getting a lot of Abbott, which honestly surprised me a little bit. I thought Abbott would be somebody that we would get more of at 5% ownership with 14% top two pitcher probability. And honestly, if this is somebody that you wanted to boost, I don't think it's crazy to boost him in the Sims. And one of the reasons is these are the type of guys that can flat out win you tournaments. I'm not saying Robbie Ray can't today. Cleveland's actually been a positive matchup for opposing lefties, which is surprising. 23% K rate, 17th in WRC plus, bottom 5 in ISO this year against lefties. You have winds blowing out in San Francisco, but we already know that park is built to neutralize winds anyway, so it doesn't really make a big difference. Plus, lowest implied total on the entire slate is the Guardians at 3.5 runs. None of that's lost on me. It's pretty evident that Robbie Ray is getting ownership for a reason. Top two pitcher probability is the top of all 24 pitchers going today. And really, he's not negatively leveraged all that much. So am I surprised that we're getting 32% Robbie Ray? Not at all. Not at all. Am I surprised that we're getting, and I'll come back to Abbott in a second. For those of you who have watched this show before, you know that I am at times inclined to bounce around. Unintentionally, it's just the way things work up here. 65% Warren. Getting about like 50% to the field. Or 15% over the field, 15% leverage there. I do understand it. You'd be hard-pressed to convince me that on paper, Will Warren isn't the best mid-range pitcher on the slate. He has the highest strikeout rate of any pitcher going on Tuesday, even if you included the earlier games, right? Not that it's necessary, but I'm just trying to prove a point. It is, yeah, exact, Steven. I thought it was 7th, but we'll take 4th on strikeout rate versus lefties. Are you sure it's 4th? Maybe you're right. 7th. You got to be looking at active roster. It makes a difference. But besides the point, you know, they're up there. Will Warren's got a 28+% K rate. And he's going up against an Angels team that unfortunately Clark Schmidt only had 3 strikeouts against yesterday, but absolutely dominated them, right? What did he go, 7 scoreless or 7 one-run innings yesterday? I mean, if you weren't looking at this from a daily fantasy perspective, you'd look at Clark Schmidt and go, hey, that's a brilliant performance. Yeah, 7 2/3 innings, 4 hits, no walks, 3 Ks. I feel like they should have credited us with more DraftKings points, more fantasy points for a performance like that. Just because you didn't have the Ks, I mean, that's a great game. He allowed 4 base runners across 7 2/3 innings, across 27 batters faced. And the worst part, didn't even get the win because they lost 1-0 in extra. That's brutal. Will Warren struggled to work deep into games. That's kind of like his Achilles heel. And Atlanta has power, the Angels have power. But the one thing that they lack is patience at the plate. You know, they have they're not patient. They don't take a lot of walks. So my hope is that with somebody like Will Warren, that benefits him today. Because he's got great strikeout stuff. He's also worked 5 1/3 or more innings in 2 straight. That's encouraging. 5+ innings in what? 5 of his last 7. We'll take that. But to talk about some of these pivots, I do think they exist today. And someone mentioned one in chat. Somebody mentioned one in chat. So I did the perfect lineup video that Josh and I do. By the way, thanks to you guys for supporting that. We keep seeing the views climb up on that. I think it's a really fun video, and I really think all of you guys would enjoy it. Even if you watch this, I think all of you guys would enjoy it. It's like 5 to 7 minutes long every day. Like I said, you may be just firing off a dump, taking a crap at work and been like, what can I do in these few minutes while I sit here and sneak away from the absurdity that is life? Oh, let me watch the perfect lineup video. Let's see them throw out some of the best pitchers and stacks, build a lineup in the single lineup sim, and give myself a chance to win a free week of core sims in the process by simply commenting on my favorite stack of the day, who I think will be the best, highest scoring team. Check it out. Comes out Josh has been getting them out quick, dude. Guy just learned how to edit last week, and he's been crushing it. Give him his props. Should be out by like 1 o'clock today, if not earlier. Check it out. I really think you'll like it. But I had mentioned in something that I mentioned in this video that's something someone else already mentioned here. We saw what Lucas Giolito did yesterday at T-Mobile Park. Dominant. Now, does that mean that we should expect a similar game for Walker Buehler? Yeah, obviously not, right? You know why? Because nobody should have expected that particular start for Giolito yesterday. That came out of the blue. It isn't to say that he couldn't have been a decent option. We talked about him on this show. I talked about him in the perfect lineup video. I said, in large fields, I like Giolito quite a bit. But nobody expected that, right? No one expected him to do what he did yesterday, no matter the park, no matter the matchup. He's been all over the map, but he had an 18% swinging strike rate yesterday. Phenomenal stuff. Limited outside contact, just did a great job across the board. Should we expect the same thing for Buehler today? No, but does that mean that Buehler isn't viable? Of course not. I think he is. And we're not getting a lot of him, but he's $7,000. He's 7 flat. It's crazy. So just knowing that Walker Buehler is clearly much better than he was last year with the Dodgers. You know, he was out for 1.5 calendar years. So no surprise that he returns rusty and doesn't look the way he once did. I don't think he'll ever get back to the Walker Buehler of old. You know, the near 30% K rate Walker Buehler, 2019, 2018, 2020 with the Dodgers. That isn't something that we should be expecting. I think we should also be expecting games where Walker Buehler, much like Lucas Giolito, gets blown up. But should we full fade him at 7K today? I don't think so at all. He's coming off a great, let's say, good appearance against Tampa Bay. I mean, he went 7 in 97 pitches, kept it under 100. I don't mind Walker Buehler today at all. And Seattle's got a 4.4 run implied total. It's in the same ballpark as all of these teams not named Cleveland, Boston, or the Angels. You know? Like, all right, if you want to say that Matthew Liberatore against the White Sox stands out because he's 7,700, that's fine. That's manageable. But this is a guy, like, if you get 5 strikeouts from him, you're stoked. My guess is today his strikeout prop is probably 4.5, just given the matchup. But it's not like you're getting elite stuff from him, and you need him to go deep. Can he? Absolutely. This guy can pitch deep into games. He hasn't done so as much lately, but we know that he can, right? We know you can get an easy 6+ out of him in this matchup. But here's my question to you guys. If you were to exclude Will Warren, Robbie Ray, and Brian Wu, all of whom in their own right are good pitching options today. Like, let's not pretend just because they're chalky that these guys aren't good options. They are. And the goal shouldn't always just be to fade chalk pitchers. No. You can get different in a multitude of ways. And we're seeing right now that in the Sims, 3 of our top 6 owned pitchers are these guys. Brian Wu at 14%, Ray at 32%, and Warren at 65%. It could change throughout the day. We're getting a lot of Ben Brown. We'll talk about him. Some David Festa as well. Sorry, 3 of our top 5 are these guys. But it doesn't mean they're bad plays. The question then becomes, who are the guys that we want to get to that aren't in that 24+% ownership range? Are there any guys that jump off the page to us, or at least warrant consideration? I think Buehler is one. Liberatore doesn't excite me, but I think he's one as well. Low total for the White Sox, not a good offense. Jack Leiter, 6,900 against Kansas City. So this is the question I ask. Are we putting Ben Brown and David Festa ahead of all of those other mid-range options? Should we be? I don't know. I don't know if we should be. And yeah, no problem, Steven. Yeah, check that box off. Makes a big difference, especially when you've got guys in and out of the lineup. So yeah. I think we can probably wipe out some of these guys at the bottom if we wanted to just process of elimination this. Vasquez, Patrick at 8K against the Cubs. I think they have the best record in the NL. It's them or the Mets. Kyle Hendricks against the Yankees. I'm good on that. They have a 5.8 run implied total today. JP Sears against Houston. Pass. Shane Smith's been good, but 8,500 is not something I'm looking to get to. And the other thing, I just hate playing pitchers against the St. Louis team. Even if St. Louis doesn't put up, 8 runs, they still make life difficult for opposing pitchers. They put the ball in play, and I'm good there. Jason Alexander, Matt Sauer, Zach Littell. Don't love Zach Littell. David Peterson's 9K against Atlanta. Exactly, Devin. I think Smith's a solid young pitcher too. We've been talking about him all year long. And there were times when he was like 6,500 that we were playing him as well. There's also weather in some of these games. Like this Schwellenbach and Peterson game, there could be some legitimate weather concerns there. I don't love that at all. 83-degree temperatures, kind of whatever. Winds blowing from right to left at 10 miles per hour, but looks like you could have some issues if that faces an in-game delay. And I don't know we want to pay 9,800 for Schwellenbach today against the Mets. It is funny, though. The tools always seem to love David Festa. Always. Like, it's one of these instances where I think I know why. Number one, this isn't the toughest matchup. But also, you're just talking about a guy who has good strikeout stuff, but it's often difficult for him to get through these games. And, this is someone that, let's not put lipstick on a pig here. This is also somebody who has been in and out or up and down from the minor league level, right? This isn't someone that's just been a fixture in the rotation. Like, we're talking about a guy who has at times struggled to the point where they send him back down. So clearly I can't look at him and just be like, hey, he's an elite play today and everybody should get to him. That's not the way I look at it. But I do think he has plenty of viability just given his price point. So do we like Festa, Brown, Buehler, or Libator more? Do me a favor before we start looking at some bats here. We got 215 people hanging with us today. Appreciate you guys. And if you don't mind, if you had missed it earlier, atone for your sins. Tap that thumbs up. Takes a single second out of your day. If you hate this video and you think it sucks and it's a waste of your time, hit the thumbs down. Make sure to do it twice. But do me this. Take those 4 guys. I want you to list them in order and see if you have the same order as I do. Ben Brown, because I'm not including Will Warren here. On paper, he is the best option at this price point. Ben Brown, David Festa, Libator, and Walker Buehler. Give me those 4 in order for you guys. Andrew's got Libator, Brown, Buehler, Festa. Okay. Libator, Brown, Buehler, Festa. I'm okay with that. Ben Brown has good stuff. If there's one thing we've seen with all of these guys, though, and it's pretty evident, I'm not going to say anything you guys disagree with. They're just straight feast or famine pitchers. Like, look at Ben Brown. Gets annihilated by the Phillies. right after a great start against one of the best teams in the league, the Detroit Tigers, dominates Cincy before that, gets crushed by Cincy prior to that, crushed by the Marlins prior to that, and then a good start against Miami and San Francisco and Milwaukee before that. And right before that, got killed by Philly, couldn't get out of the fourth inning. Ben Brown has been absolutely, he's one of the most, like, you want to say trying to hit a moving target. Ben Brown, you're trying, every time you roster this guy, you're just trying to hit a moving target. Shit, at least with David Festa, for the most part, we can say he lives in that 15 DraftKings point range outside of one start. But, like, the guy's gone 4 2/3, 4 1/3, 4, 3 2/3. I'm tempted to get more Walker Buehler here. I'm even despite the lack of upside as far as strikeouts go, I think I'm honestly tempted to get more Matthew Liberatore as well. I just feel like Matthew Liberatore is the type of guy that could really thrive against a team that, all right, maybe they don't strike out a ton, but could you get a Clark Schmidt from yesterday type of performance from him? And I know he's hit some bumps in the road recently, but you're still looking at a pretty respectable arm. That's why I think this slate is tough. I think this is tough. Zach said Buehler, Festa, Brown, Liberatore. Okay. Lord King Guru, Festa gets babied. Legit might not make it out of the fifth, even if he's somewhat efficient. Yeah, I hate seeing that. And you want to know the truth? Will Warren's been similar. Will Warren's pitch count has been he's been on a leash as well. Festa, though, 84, 80, 86 pitches. Yeah. I don't think there's one guy that jumps off the page, honestly. And right now, what I can say is that I don't mind putting some faith in the Sims given what we're getting. They're saying Ben Brown in this spot against Milwaukee does make for the second best mid-range option behind Will Warren. And that Festa's up there as well. But I don't fully want to sleep on Liberatore. I don't fully want to sleep on Buehler. One thing we should do is we should look at some strikeout props here. Lee said, I'm chalk. I want Ray in this bounce back spot versus the team. If I remember correctly, he last pitched against and had that season-ending Tommy John. Look, I didn't even include Robbie Ray in this because I was talking mid-range guys. I think Robbie Ray is the best pitching option on the slate if you're paying up, right? I mean, great park, 28% K rate. He's allowing fewer home runs than almost any pitcher in baseball this year. It's really hard to get away from that spot if you ask me. But we were talking about those mid-range guys because I don't think you're going to want to build a ton of lineups that include Ray and Brian Wu or like Ray and Abbott. I don't think that's going to be easy, and I don't think that's necessarily what you want to do here. I think you're going to have a good amount of these mid-range guys mixed into those Robbie Ray and Brian Wu lineups. It just seems to make sense. And we'll look at the lineups as well. But let's look at strikeouts. And let me sort by the time here. So these are all 6 o'clock games. These don't count. Warren's at 6.5. So you have a $7,500 pitcher with a 6.5 strikeout prop. That's ridiculous. Brandon Pfaadt's at 3.5 or 4.5 with juice to the under. Abbott's at 5.5. Festa's at 5.5. Schwellenbach 5.5. Peterson 5.5. Kramer 4.5. Smith 4.5. See, this is why you're not getting to a lot of these guys. Like the props. There you go. 4.5 with juice to the over for Liberatore. I'm okay with that. Ben Brown 5.5. These K props are going to play into our exposures. I have no doubt about it. I mean, Jack Leiter's at 3.5 or 4.5 with heavy juice to the under. Lugo 4.5. Woo's at 5.5, 6.5 in some spots. All right, Bueller 4.5, heavy juice in the over. Ray 6.5. Now you see where we're at on these guys. Randy Vasquez 2.5. That's lovely, huh? Zach, double 7K range pitchers was the move yesterday. Yeah. Dude, if you had Pepio and Giolito, what'd you have? 75 fantasy points between the two? Something like that, 74 DraftKings points? Monster numbers from those guys. That's not always going to be how it goes, though. Like if I told you today, we come back here tomorrow, no early slate, by the way. How much does that suck? No early slate on a Wednesday. But if I came back here tomorrow and was like, guys, Ben Brown and Festa got crushed and Bueller sucked, would you be surprised? Obviously not, right? Matter of fact, if I jumped on this morning at 11 Eastern and was like, dude, Giolito got destroyed, no one's going to be like, I never saw that coming. Of course not. Of course not. So, yeah. You don't want to play Abbott at home? Maxwell? Yeah, I mean, I get it. He's been better on the road. His strikeout stuff's been better on the road. He's still been good at home. But on the road, clearly better strikeout stuff, less power, less base runners. And that's not surprising given where he pitches. Plus, there could be rain there today. We might not even end up playing this game. But, I don't think the conditions are all that bad. 78 degrees. There's no wind blowing out. At the very least, here's what I'll say to you, Maxwell. And I welcome all of your guys' opinions. I mean that. If we get closer to lock and Abbott really is only getting 5% ownership, then I don't see why we wouldn't want to get at least a little bit of him. If he's pulling 5% and Wu and Robbie Ray are in that 25% range, I'd have a tough time not clicking on Andrew Abbott a couple times. And one of the reasons too is that you look at this guy, and I know a lot of these elite starts have come on the road, but he's proven that he has a crazy high ceiling, right? Like in his last 10 starts, he has 3 starts, 35 plus DK points. When this guy's firing, it's on all cylinders. And I hate to look away from something like that, especially against the Minnesota team that, honestly, they're not that good against lefties at all. I mentioned it earlier, but 4th highest strikeout rate in the league. Bottom 7 WRC plus. So, yeah. And I also don't know if Byron Buxton's going to be in the lineup. Clearly their best hitter. He's no stranger to striking out from time to time, but still, this matchup could get even better for Andrew Abbott. Yeah. Michael, it's not a major factor, but Wrigley has winds blowing out, so I'm lower on Brown. Yeah, a couple things I want to look at here when this is the case, because you do have 8-mile-per-hour winds blowing out, 83-degree temperatures, and I think this is another weather game, right? Should be okay. What's the total? Vegas bakes all of this stuff in. The total is 9. Cubs are minus 156 favorites. So we'll see how that plays later in the day. But as it stands, 4.4 run implied total for Milwaukee. Nothing crazy. Good luck to you, and good luck to me getting this SP2 right today. Beezy, how many pitchers do you feel comfortable playing at 50% ownership? I don't know, dude. Outside of Robbie Ray, maybe if you landed there on a Brian Wu as well, nobody. I'll say Warren just because he shouldn't be 7,500 in this spot. You should not be 7,500. Even if he sucks today, he should not be 7,500. Understand that, right? He should not be cheaper than Seth Lugo in this spot. He shouldn't be $1,000 less than Shane Smith, 500 less than Chad Patrick in this spot. It's a mispricing on DraftKings' part. The Angels have the third lowest implied total of all 24 teams going today, and Warren's strikeout rate is higher than any pitcher on the slate. Obviously, you have to contextualize that. He doesn't work super deep into games, which is a problem, but he shouldn't be 7,500. So it's those three guys. Aside from that, I'd be much more comfortable mix and matching a bunch of these guys. And I think that's the way to play it, honestly. All right, let's take a look at some bats. Let's go. Let's see what we got. Also, appreciate you guys. We have 215 watching, 73 likes. That ratio is fantastic. I mean, we could always pop this north of 100, and I'd be eternally grateful. But a 34% likes to viewer ratio, we'll take that any day of the week. Got to beg for that in football, but I appreciate you. All right, take a look at bats. Before we do, can we shout out some fellas? Every week, sometimes every day, I'm throwing these up there to shout out the boys, sometimes the ladies, for some monster wins. And check this out. Mark, this was MBA. Never really tweeted before, but figured, hell, why not show off what the best tool in the business can do for you? First of many to go. $43K for an NBA Finals Showdown contest. That ring is coming your way, brother. You got that? Assuming you're rocking the avatar, you got the ring. Oh, he is rocking the avatar. In the solo shot, no way I win this without the tools from Mac. 750, first place in the solo shot. CMARS, $300. Thanks again to the Stokastic team. And how about Richard Berg? Took third in the 10K solo shot last night. Thought I had it. I thought I had second, fell asleep. Someone came and took it. That was actually our friend Greg Ehrenberg who finished second. Thanks to Giolito, being a madman. Thanks for all the info. You're the best. Shout out to the fellas. Monster wins. Also, some beautiful takedowns in the solo shot and mini max streets. You absolutely love to see it. And as I've told you guys many times, all you got to do if you want to get access to these tools at a discount, try out the MLB Core Sims package for a week or a month at a big discount. Just DM me at Laffy_D on Twitter. LOUGHY_D. My DMs are always open. Or on Instagram, same one. Hit me up. Even if you have to request a DM, I'll see it and I'll get back to you. I'm happy to do so. Try these tools out. At the end of the day, you don't like them. You're like, all right, I tried it. I think you will. And I think you should, at the very least, give them a shot. Because for baseball specifically this year, they've been absolutely crushing for our guys, man. Absolutely crushing. Or, as always, if you ever wanted to be like, hey, you know what? Is there another way I can get in? Yes, there is. Click that link in the description that says get the DFS, month of Sims with our sign up with our sportsbook partners. Literally just click that link. Follow these 4 steps. That's it. Click claim offer on any sportsbook or pick'em site if you're in a non-legal betting state. Sign up, make a minimum deposit. It's $5 or $10. $5 or $10 to make that minimum deposit. Place a bet or enter a lineup. The moment that bet or lineup settles and is over, simply email us, support@stokastic.com. Ron is great at getting back to everybody quickly. Send the screenshot of your welcome email and the screenshot of your first settled bet or lineup, and just tell us what you want. Hey, say, let me get that month of Sims for MLB. If you signed up for 3 of these books, go, hey, I want MLB, PGA, and MMA, or 3 months of MLB, however you want to play it. So, dude, slew of ways to get in on these tools at a monster discount and refine your game. Start understanding that the edge is different in 2025 and less than it was years ago, and this is the way to regain that. So check them out. Whether you're playing the mini max or the flagship contest, we got something for all you guys. For all Anthony, stick around. Yes, we do for sports betting. Anyway, let's take a look at our stacks. And yeah, just hit me up. Shoot me a DM. I got you. Or click that link, whichever you want to do. 5 stack exposures, Athletics, and Houston. I would be lying if I told you I wasn't surprised. I mean, come on now. What at all is surprising about this? This park just plays for hitting. Yesterday it didn't, but that doesn't mean every day. 11 run total here. I mean, you're literally talking Coors Field style at this point, right? 11 run total. And there's no real considerable favorite. The Astros are minus 120 on the money line. Both of these teams have monster totals today. Look at this. 5-8 for Houston, 5-4 for the Athletics. You look at the top value here, and Houston's number 1 again. Athletics are third. It really does become a difficult spot to get away from. I totally understand this. Now, is it concerning a little bit? And as I always say, with the Sims and with daily fantasy baseball, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable in a big way. But is it uncomfortable that you've got 12 games and we're just loading up on stacks for Athletics in Houston? Sure it is, but it doesn't bother me. Like so many of these other spots, I don't really think I want to get to massive stack exposure to. Sure, if you ended up getting to the Dodgers or the Yankees against Hendricks, no one's going to fault you for that, but they're very expensive. And you're probably paying for a lot of Robbie Ray lineups here. I will say, if you wanted to go the 2 mid-range direction with like Will Warren and Ben Brown or Warren and Bueller or something like that, that's going to open things up. You're going to be spending less than $15,000 on a pair of pitchers. But I also think that'll be a relatively chalky build, and I think a lot of people are going to do it. Tampa against Dean Kramer in that Tampa park. That looks good. Cubs against Patrick with winds blowing out. I don't think the weather's a major factor there, honestly, but it's helpful. And the Cubs are a great offense. Baltimore against Zach Littell. I like that. But then you look at some of these other spots. I mean, I don't really want to stack Boston or Cleveland or the Angels. Angels might be a little sneaky. White Sox, San Fran, Kansas City. None of these stacks look particularly good. So I get it. And of course, if you wanted to massage this a little bit and you wanted to drop exposures down on some of these guys, go for it. On some of these stacks, I mean. Let's see our individual exposures within the Sims. I ran this with a 5,000 contest. So 5,000 team field. 25% to first. Of course, adjust it for whatever your contest you're playing in. If it's the mini max, do 5,000 and then 10% to first. Right? If it's some single entry stuff, maybe it's 500 and 15% to first. The whole point is for us to mirror the field and then sim it tens of thousands of times against that field and see what performs best. That's why when you look at our lineups, you have your simulated ROI. And the highest sim lineups right now, Will Warren and Ben Brown. For those of you guys looking to get to those 2 mid-range guys, there you go. With a 3-3 Cleveland Athletics, yeah, nobody's getting to that. Nobody's getting to that one. Peterson and Warren, 5-2 Athletics Cleveland. Ray and Ben Brown, 5-man A's stack. Liberatore, Ben Brown. Another, there you go. Okay, so we are getting a lot of double mid-range. Wow. Warren Festa with a 5-3 Athletics Dodgers. 5-3 Baltimore Athletics with Warren and Ben Brown. I was wrong. A lot of this. I guess now that I think of it, it kind of makes sense because let's sort by the highest priced pitchers. You're not going to be getting a lot of Smith or Bassett or Patrick in that 8K range. So the 8K range, we're essentially wiping out of the equation altogether. Right? Are we getting to any of these guys in the 8K range? No. Essentially nothing. That's like 4 total lineups with Smith and Bassett. And nothing with Shane Smith. And then Peterson, you're not going to get a lot of. Schwellenbach, you're not going to get a lot of. So, and we're not getting a lot of Abbott. So, yeah, I guess it does make sense. We're going to live in that 7K range a lot today. All right. All right. Anthony, Cubs are a good stack. Yeah, I think Cubs look pretty good. Individual exposures here. Shall we peek? Oh, hold on. Wow. Look at that Lawrence Butler exposure at 4,500. Almost 60% of Butler and 56% Rooker. 40% Shohei Ohtani. 27% Altuve. Woo. 31% Jeremy Pena. 26% Wilson. We are getting to a lot of A's. Athletics, Max Muncy. I wonder if that is a glitch or if we're actually getting the same amount of Max Muncy. That's wild. If that's real, are we really getting the same amount of each Max Muncy, 31.3%? I don't know. I'll have to see. Altuve, Luis Arias, Ohtani, Yanier Diaz. So and look at that. A lot of Houston and Athletics. So that's where we're at right now. I think we've broken all of this down. The best I can do over the course of, 50 minutes for you guys. Hopefully it's sufficient. And of course, you've got Live Before Lock tonight as well, so make sure to stick around for that. Check out the video Josh and I do Monday through Friday. It should be up in like an hour. I think you'll love it. It's like 5-7 minutes every single day. Take a look at home runs before we get out of here, too. This is just necessary. We need to find some spots. And, yeah, to answer your question, where was it? Who was asking about our sports betting stuff? So Anthony, does Stokastic have any specials for betting sports? Yeah. Look at that link in the description. The one that says, get OddsShopper Portfolio EV. Click that link. Your first week of our betting tools is 100% free. You don't pay a single cent. I think you'll love it. And what you're doing is you're betting with a top-down approach, a market-based approach, where we're finding all of the discrepancies throughout the market, the books that are essentially posting bad odds, and we're sniping those odds before they can move off of them. That's what it comes down to. We've identified the true odds on all of these bets, what the odds should be. And then the algo is just identifying every single one that we can. And you're going to get a lot of good betting opportunities every day. A lot. And wait till basketball and football roll around. But for baseball, awesome. WNBA, you don't need to know a damn thing about WNBA to have a extraordinarily profitable season. That's the best thing. You don't need to know about these sports in order to have a profitable year, profitable month, whatever it may be. So check it out. Andy, good luck to you too, man. Good luck to all you guys. Trey, no weather concerns in Sacramento, not from what I've seen. Looks good to me. We seem to generally be pretty good there. Fistula, so random, but thank you for always delivering a phlegm-free broadcast. I listen to a lot of content. I just appreciate the good health you all maintain. It's funny, I smoked cigarettes for a long time. Not for a long time now, but I did. I don't know. We'll see. I try to maintain my health, man. I'm 38 now. Shit like that becomes far more important as you start getting older. Start feeling things break down. You're like, you know what? I think it's time. That was like 5 years ago for me. I think during COVID. Actually, after the first several months of COVID where I drank out of control, uncontrollably, and then would come and do shows in a stupor. But didn't we all? Nah, man, Feels a lot better to do it that way. But I appreciate you guys always watching and supporting the show. No real home run props right now. We'll get some good ones later in the day. I know that for a fact. We have too many games not to get some plus EV home run bets, and they'll all pop up in this top bets tab over at Portfolio EV. I turn notifications on, so everything goes straight to my phone anyway. I don't even have to monitor it. The moment bets pop up, I simply bet them. That's all there is to it. That's it. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of the day. Let's have ourselves a good one. Make sure you're rocking the Stokastic avatar too. Seriously. Stokastic.com/HOF. Check this out. Before you go, I'm doing this with one hand. Remember my dad used to type like a pigeon. Look like him. Go here, download one of these avatars, right? Whichever one you want, use it wherever it is you play. If you finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, no matter, even if it's the quarter arcade, look, you're getting a free month of any single sports sims package. That's max, not core, that's max. If you win twice in a calendar year, top 3, field of 5,000 or more, doesn't matter the entry fee, a free month again, and another week of any sport you want. And if you get gold 3 times in a calendar year, that's 365 days. That's a month of Sims All Access, $550 value. And of course, any 20K plus win, you get in the Stokastic Ring of Honor, and we send you that beautiful custom engraved ring with your name on it, with the Stokastic logo, Hall of Fame, in an engraved display case that spins. It's beautiful. Your life will change after that. But not for real. No reason not to do it. I tell you guys all the time, that picture of your dog is great. You like looking at it, but it's not getting you anything. And plus, nobody else cares about our dogs but ourselves. You know, the same thing goes for our kids. That's why I don't show people a picture of my kids. They don't really give a shit, even if they ask to see them. I look at them in the eyes. I say, you don't actually care. They say, you know what? You're right. Thank you for sparing me the trouble of having to feign some type of enthusiasm over children who aren't my own. That's reserved for your family, your grandparents, and all that stuff. Otherwise, no one really cares. But with that avatar, you'll care, and you'll care soon. Anyway, see you guys back here tomorrow. No early slate, unfortunately, but we will be here for the main slate. As always, have a great rest of the day. Catch you guys back here. I think Greg and Eric live before lock. Make sure to make that one, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.